Hello, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And yes, I kind of warned you right at the start that, my podcast would be um, mostly um, infrequent. And, so that means that suddenly I can just bombard you with a few episodes in a row. And sometimes, I just am off. But actually, I've not really been off because I have been posting ESL related episodes on the podcast, mostly for my spoken English students. And so, yeah, I've not really been off. But yeah, when it comes to my regular podcasting, it's been a bit. So, but yeah, I uploaded my latest episodes yesterday, and I'm hoping I'll be uploading this today as well. And so yeah, let's begin actually because this is one thing that I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time, but I kept kind of forgetting in between life coming up, you know. So the thing that I've really been thinking that it's something that's it's kind of it's so weird that one would laugh about it if it wasn't so serious actually, despite the fact that it sounds very trivial. And that is when you find out that your everyday normal baked goods and your pastries and stuff that they have a problem with them in the sense that they might be haram because of lard and gelatin been used in them, and so they become very very um, difficult foods now. These are foods that are part of our everyday life, and then when you go to different countries, and you find out that these things that you normally would never have with alcohol or with lard or with animal-based gelatin, or at least not pig-based gelatin, and then you find that even the smallest thing like a candy, even a candy would have gelatin. So you kind of get you start to get a bit stressed out because it's also not for vegetarians, it's also not for vegans, and it's also not halal, and so in other words it's also not even kosher. So for most of the people then it becomes a problem. Why would you want to make bread something that somebody has to think about before buying, you know? So I remember, because when I was in England, I remember that when I used to go to Subway, and then there was this one of the staff members, one of the employees, because he was Muslim as well. So one of my favorite breads that I would normally go for, and he told me, he's like, you know what, don't order that because that is not halal. And I was like, what? Since when did breads become haram? And when he told us that that actually lard was used in it, you know, and this was the Subway bread that is supposed to be of fine herbs. Now the name is very, as you know, it's kind of it's so it contradicts its whole being, so to speak, because on one end you're seeing that, oh, so this is probably made of herbs, and so this has to be purely good stuff that is vegan friendly, vegetarian friendly, and generally halal as well. And then you find out that, okay, although it is supposed to be bread of fine herbs, and I'm speaking in English because if I take its real name, then that would be in French, which I'm not going to say today anymore because um, there's no need to show off our language skills here. But yeah, the point is that the fact that a bread that is supposed to be mainly composed of herbs and seeds and okay, a little bit of maybe oil, why would that bread have lard in it? I don't get it. Similarly, cheesecakes. When you think about cheesecakes, you just think about cheese. It actually never really comes to your mind again that, that pork is going to be used in it in some form, or, lard is going to be used. Because again, you see, baked goods, in your mind, baked goods and confectioneries, they are supposed to be things that anybody and everybody can eat, regardless of their age and regardless of their allergies or whatever, whoever is suffering from whatever. And then when you find out that they are actually, being infused with things that could make you to just pause and think, because to you cake is basically flour and eggs and sugar, you know, and cheese and okay, fruits maybe if you want to make some fruit cheesecake or something, and or toppings or something. And so when you suddenly realize, when you look at the ingredients and you see that there is lard and there is gelatin, and you just have to stop and then throw it all out. I mean, actually threw the cake out, because I could never have thought that I would come across a cheesecake that would have lard in it. And again, gelatin, although my dad is a food technologist, and he keeps on claiming that, gelatin is in fact, the commercial gelatin is mainly artificial gelatin. That means that it's not animal based, it is actually plant based or even synthetic. So as in it's produced, man-made. But but no, I mean, whenever I do research, as in even now I was doing research to find out, and I've noticed that no, even now, because as you know, a pig is supposed to be the cheapest form of meat source for Europe and America. Beef is not cheap in comparison, obviously. And so, whenever they write gelatin, you have to pause and think that, because according to research, mostly commercial products that are commercially made, food products that require, gelatin, or even don't require, but they just add it to it, like in the icing of the cake and stuff like that. God knows why they would even want to do that. But I mean, when they add gelatin, it is mostly animal derived. So, and another thing is that I thought that according to rules and regulations, you're even supposed to mention the type of gelatin that you put in your product, but I have never seen that. I've just seen gelatin. It's a very, very, very few products that have actually mentioned that this is, pork-based gelatin, or it is beef-based gelatin, or plant-based. But they don't mention it. I mean, I remember that in all the candies and the cakes and stuff that I've read gelatin, it has never been mentioned what kind of gelatin it is. So that, that kind of stops you. And I was just thinking about it the other day again. I was like, I was thinking about my experiences, and I was thinking about the fact that, and then you start doubting yourself. You start thinking, oh my God, I don't even know if I've eaten stuff that I didn't even know. Because again, brioche is not supposed to be vegan. But I mean, I don't care about vegan, to be honest. But I'm thinking about now the fact that if it's not vegan, then maybe it's not even vegetarian, because again, I don't even know what they've added apart from, butter in it. So, I mean, there is that. And then, cosmetics, as you know, there are halal cosmetics, and I thank God for it, actually, to be honest. I don't use cosmetics, so in a way, I also thank God for that I don't use cosmetics. Because when I think of the fact that for a very, very long time, animals were used. I mean, the fact that even dolphins and whales have been used, I mean, that is just so, I mean, it's nonsensical, to say the least. It just doesn't make any sense that you would want to slaughter those animals just to paint your face. I mean, there are so many varieties, as people are proving now. There are so many ways of making such wonderful makeup. Without using animals, and without using gelatin, and without using lard, and without using dolphins and whales. And I'm just so thankful again that I actually don't use makeup at all. And recently, when I did kind of buy stuff, then they were mostly the um, kind of halal stuff, so they're like, plant based, or they're, cruelty free and stuff, so I'm fine with that. The halal nail polishes, or the water based nail polishes, even if they're not halal, but they're fine. I mean, at least I know that no animal has been put into any of these cosmetics and stuff that I use. I mean, it's already enough that we have to look for non-alcoholic deodorants and perfumes. I mean, it's, you just don't know what to do with them. And I don't even see why alcohol is always used in everything, even when there's no need for it, especially in, again, baked stuff and confectioneries. Why would you want to add alcohol to it? I mean, seriously, are you people crazy? Don't you have to feed your kids? It just doesn't make sense. There's so many people who react to alcohol very badly as well. People can die of it as well. So I do believe that when you're making something that is generally, very commonly consumed by all kinds of people, all age groups, all ethnicities, then I think it's kind of your duty to stick to the basics and try not to get too fancy and, add your weird concoctions around. You want to do that, you then at least put them separately. Okay, so don't make them part of your everyday um you know products. Put them on the side and put a label on them, for God's sake, and so that people should know exactly what it is that they're getting. If it's gelatin, what kind of gelatin it is it commercially synthesized plant-based gelatin? Is it animal based? And if it's animal based, which animal? I mean, you need to put that down. I, for one, I mean, I really can't get that why would you want to put, gelatin in all our, daily life products that is consumed by kids and adults and people of all walks of life. And I just don't get it. For example, when you're adding rum and port and vodka and bourbon, when you're baking with booze, in other words, fine, it might be lovely for you people because it's adding additional flavor and texture according to you. And but the point is that it will even change the consistency of many baked goods, fine. But again, put them under a separate label, okay, so that you know exactly what's going on. Similarly, when you're using lard in your baked goods and your confectioneries and your pastries, for God's sake, just put it out there, okay, so that people know what they're getting. And I mean, I remember that there was this huge scandal about Oreos as well, and I think it kind of caused Oreos a kind of a loss in between as well when people stopped getting it because they weren't sure, because there was this rumor that some form of lard or gelatin was used in it as well, and then there was this rumor that alcohol was used in various chocolates. Actually, there's being this thing that we don't know if alcohol or drugs are being used in these chocolates, and especially nowadays it's kind of been proved correct because as we have been complaining about drug abuse being more and more common, even more common than when it was a huge deal, and so common that that kids in primary schools are getting addicted to it, and it's because the chocolates and the sweets and the candies that are being sold, they contain drugs. So, and there's nobody to check it out. There's nobody to crack down. There's nobody to even crack down the schools, because I think personally, as I've mentioned in my previous episodes, that I think the schools are 100% responsible because it is their duty to provide a safe zone for kids. And yet our kids are actually finding out about drugs when they go to school. So yeah, that is very alarming. So yeah, I mean, I find that very, very ridiculous, actually. It's highly ridiculous, and if not pathetic, that you would use um, any form of pig or lard in baking goods such as bread, and you know and cakes and sweets. So there is that. And because again, even now, in fact, the problem is that now abroad, if you even want to pick up a toothpaste, you might begin to think that, oh my god, is there pork in toothpaste? Why? Because glycerine, again, can come from various animals, and again, Europe being the continent that it is, pig being the cheapest, again, source that it is. I mean, if they would prefer, if 99% of their gelatin is produced from from pork, from pigs, then that would mean that obviously 90 to 99% of glycerine is probably produced from pigs. So we don't even know what exactly is going on. Um, But although toothpaste manufacturers claim, like Colgate, for example, that majority of our products are vegan and don't contain. But what do you mean by majority now? How are we going to go and now? Do you want us to stand in front of each toothpaste and read very closely to see, okay, is there any animal derived ingredient in it? So that is, I mean, it's beginning to become very alarming that because it's unnecessary. Okay, you know it and I know it. It's practically unnecessary to put animal-derived substances in stuff like toothpaste and all. Why? Just because you want to change its texture or its consistency. I mean, are you people crazy? I mean, I don't even get that. So, yeah, I think that that is really, really, as I said, alarming. Uh, that and ridiculous and pathetic that you would put uh, you know animal derived uh, products where they are not even necessary just because they're supposed to make you feel better you know so for example, now remember the famous Wrigley's gum. Now so many people have been chewing gum, and again, chewing gum is a product that you would never think that would have the issue of being, of having gelatin, animal based and stuff like that. So the thing is that now Wrigley's, because they were asked this question that if there is gelatin listed in any Wrigley's product, in their ingredients list, that so in other words, they were asked if Wrigley's gum has pork, and they said that if gelatin is listed in any of our products ingredient list, then it is pork derived. So again, there you go. They would much rather use pork derived gelatin in 99% of products all over Europe and the US and probably even Canada, because it's the cheapest form for them. So to hell with whether it suits other people or not. So imagine that mints, just simple things such as mints and gummies and you know that you have to think about the fact that they contain pork gelatin. I think they need to write pork gelatin very openly, not just gelatin, so that people know what's going on. Yeah. So, the fact that you have to look for vegan friendly jellies, I mean, seriously, in today's world, it's, yeah, it's very, 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 again, pathetic. So I think people who commercially manufacture candies and sweets and chocolates, and those who bake commercially, and those who, the confectioneries, I think they need to rethink their idea of, their products, of, and who they're actually catering to. Because as I said, these are goods, these are products that are used by everybody all over the world, and they're used, I mean, fine, in Muslims in their own countries, they would get the halal versions because otherwise they would not even be allowed to, uh, get, they would not be even allowed to manufacture those. But yeah, it's amazing how my phone always remembers to send me messages and notifications while I'm doing my podcast throughout the day. Nothing. But at the minute I am sitting on my podcast, that's it. Voila. Something, my phone has to just get active and make me forget what it is that I'm saying. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think that these food products that cater to majority of the people, and these are products that people would normally just unthinkingly go for, and without even thinking about the halal kosher stuff, and without thinking about vegan vegetarian stuff, because these are essentially supposed to be for everybody. Generally, when you bake these goods at home, you don't use the kind of stuff that you use commercially. So I think commercially, when you use um, uh, gelatin or lard, you should mention that pretty obviously and not just in your tiny ingredients list. Put them separately, or at least put the non-lard, non-gelatin products separately. And I think you should just do away with gelatin when it comes to candies in general because, as I said, they're kids. These are kids. They should be able to eat sweets and chocolates without, getting worried about what is halal and what is haram. And they should be able to eat sweets and chocolates without thinking about which one is infused with drugs and alcohol. So yeah, especially when you're making kid-friendly products, I think you should be a little more universal. Um, yeah, I mean, nothing's gonna happen, if you use plant-based gelatin. You will only sell more. That's more profits to you. So yeah, do mention what kind of gelatin you're using in your products, please, and make it clear. Don't just write gelatin. Write plant gelatin or write beef gelatin or write pork gelatin so that people know what's going on. Because people are just going to go throw your stuff away and you're going to lose money in the long run. So this is it for now because the ridiculousness of it all, it just amazes me and I don't even know what more to say. I mean, the fact that now you even have to look carefully at baked goods before you buy them. And now it means that I just don't know if the local breads that are made in local bakeries where they make sandwiches, I don't even know if those are again, vegetarian or vegan or at least, I don't know if they're animal derived or if they have animal derived ingredients or not. I don't know if they just have eggs and milk and butter or if they have lard added into the mix. I don't know. So, I mean, we're so used to having just pure vegetarian stuff, eggs and milk and butter, and flour and sugar and salt, and that's it. And now you have to think about all this useless stuff before eating something so trivial. I mean, seriously, what the frack, man? Well, this is me signing out. Goodbye. Have a wonderful time these holidays. It's going to be New Year's in 2 days, right? Today's the 29th, so 30th, 31st, and first after 2 days, right? So have a happy New Year, everyone. And let's hope people try to get some more common sense next year and people think less about how to cheat others and more about how to just take care of everybody else while taking care of yourself, you know. So let's be considerate towards others. Let's let others live their lives as we want to live our own lives. Let's just not try to create wars around us just so that certain countries can earn from it. And let's just hope that, people just learn to be a little more considerate as manufacturers, as capitalists, as socialists, as any and all of the ists. Yeah, so, well, have a happy new year, and let's hope that the next year is much better than this one or the previous ones. Okay, bye bye. Khuda Hafiz.